Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Honkai Star Rail video, and today we have the 2.1 reveal stream summary. So what I'm going to do is, they did do a reveal stream for 2.1. Some of you probably have already heard about what's coming out in it. I wanted to do my own video kind of summarizing it and giving my reaction to it. Now this was like a 2-hour long video, so it was like a really long video to watch. So what I wanted to do is just give you guys a concise video kind of just summarizing everything that's in it, and then if you want maybe more details or want to look at it more in depth, feel free to go in and watch the video. But there are a couple of things in here in particular for me that I found to be very interesting that I'm really excited for, that maybe other players won't be as excited for, but I think it's really cool, right? So let's just hop in. So the first thing is 2.1 will come out on March 27th, so about 10 days after the day I am recording this video, so not too far away, less than 2 weeks, right? They do have, obviously you can go and rewatch the stream yourself if you want to, but just a brief overview of what we're looking at. The new characters are going to be Acheron, Adventurine, and Gallagher. And then they did show the upcoming banner, so we're going to review that. They're going to talk about information for Anniversary, because Anniversary comes out, I think it's April 26th. So it is like still over a month away. But, you know, Star Rail does kind of like longer, bigger updates. So they're already putting information on Anniversary right now. I would almost think of this as like, you can think of some of this Anniversary stuff as almost like countdown information, right? And then the actual Anniversary will drop, and then we'll find out a lot more stuff there, right? There are some new relics coming out, some new events coming out, some new actual like systems, some other updates which I think are kind of interesting, and then we do have some codes to get 300 Stellar Jades. So at the end I will show you those codes if you want to get those 300 Stellar Jades. I think those codes are still active. I know they don't keep them active for too long, but I think they should still work. So first, obviously, we have Acheron. That's a very, very hype character that I think, out of all of them, I think this is the one that's probably got the most hype behind it. Acheron is a lightning nihility character. And generally, like, what they do is they do kind of summarize like what the combat role is here. They actually talk about all of her skills. I'm going to talk about her probably a little bit more in detail when I do a Should You Pull video. But in general, to summarize what Acheron is doing, is Acheron is unique in that they don't use energy to do ultimates. So the way their ultimate works is they're building up stacks, and they build up a stack anytime an enemy receives a debuff, or I think the way they word it is if an enemy uses a debuff on you. So anytime a debuff is applied, whether it be you or the enemy, she gets a stack. And once it gets to 9 stacks, then she can unload the ultimate. So I think in terms of team building, I mean, Acheron's going to work really good on nihility type of setups where you have multiple characters on the team that can apply debuffs. I'm thinking, you know, characters like Silverwolf, Pela, like these are characters that I think are going to work really well with Acheron. So if you're thinking about team building, I think that's what you want to think about. I think Acheron isn't as straightforward of a DPS where like you can just plug her onto any team and she's going to work great. Like she's still going to be solid, but it's like the more often you can get the ultimate, the better, right? So if you're doing more debuff style of setups, I think you're going to be looking a lot better. So that's kind of her, and she's going to be dealing massive damage. So if you're looking for a massive damage dealer that's DPS focused, I think Acheron is a good character to go for. Then we have Adventurine. And Adventurine's kind of interesting in that he is a premium 5-star preservation character, and I believe he is the first imaginary preservation character that we've gotten. What's interesting about him is that he gives the ally stackable shields, which can become quite powerful. And then he actually triggers up follow-up attacks. So I see this as probably he's going to be a more offensive type of preservation character. I think this is definitely going to be more of a niche character. I don't think that Adventurine is going to be like a must-pull type of character. I think there's definitely going to be players that like his playstyle and his setup, but I don't know that this is a character that I'm going to say everybody's got to get him, right? Now, we'll see as I actually see gameplay of him. I may change my mind on that because I am someone who is a fan of preservation. But I've talked about before that preservation's kind of like the oddball typing where it's not really a must on a team setup. I think sometimes you put preservation in because a fight's really difficult. You feel like you just can't tank enough. But I think Adventurine maybe having a little bit more bite to him, like being a little bit more offensive, could make him a really nice preservation character to have. I think it's really going to depend on your playstyle with him. So we'll kind of wait and see as we get closer. Eventually, he's a little bit farther away because he's going to be on the second set of banners, whereas Acheron's going to be the first set, right? So we'll look at him more closely as we get to it. Then we have Gallagher. Gallagher's interesting in that it's another healing character, so that's good because abundance is something that's good to have. Like I think every team, most team builds, you need to have either abundance or preservation. You need some way to sustain. Unless the fight's going to be very short and you feel like you can just blitz through it, you got to have one or the other, right? So Gallagher's great because he's 4-star, so he's going to be easy to pull. And the other thing is, I'm going to show you later, you will actually have the opportunity to get Gallagher for free. So if you're thinking about if you want to pull or not on these banners, if you just want Gallagher, you may not have to pull because you're going to get a copy for free. The other thing I like about Gallagher is his typing. He is fire, okay? Typing does matter a lot in this game. And I feel like eventually in my account, I'm going to want to have a healer of every typing because healing is something I always want. And typing is important because I always want to be able to weakness break. I think typing really matters too if you're running Silverwolf setups, because when you're running Silverwolf, you want to limit the amount of typings that you're running. So typically on a Silverwolf team, I usually want to either do mono or duo teams. So I think Gallagher can really come into play if I want to do, say, like a Fire Quantum setup, and for whatever reason I don't want to use Lynx in that healing slot, and I feel like Gallagher works better. It's nice to have that fire option under healing, right? Or maybe it's just like fire is an element you're lacking a little bit and you just need to have another character that can help weakness break. I mean, Gallagher could be it. And the thing that's nice with Gallagher is it sounds like he's going to be a little bit more offensive of a healer, right? So the way that he works is that his normal skill is just going to be a basic heal. But then he does build up stacks that help deal follow-up attacks. And these follow-up attacks, depending on how strong they are, could be really nice. Because the thing that I find that holds me back a little bit with Abundance characters is if I'm doing a mode like Pure Fiction or just any of these modes, like a very common thing in difficult content, right, is that you have to beat it within a certain amount of cycles. And the thing that usually holds me back is the healers aren't very offensive and they hold you back in terms of meeting the cycle count. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I need to heal though, like otherwise I just die. So Gallagher could be really nice in that he could provide the healing and yet be offensive enough to help you meet turn restrictions, right, on fights. So I will evaluate Gallagher more once he's actually in game, but he is described as an offensive healing character. And fire is an element that I feel like overall is just kind of lacking in the game. So I think Gallagher is a nice pickup. And the thing that's nice is Gallagher is going to be on Acheron's banner, which I think is probably the more hype character of the batch. So I think if you're pulling for Acheron, I think Gallagher is going to be a really nice complement to that banner. And like I said, if you don't want to pull, I think Gallagher is going to be a really nice free pickup that I think is worth building up for most characters. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do want to pre-farm stuff for Gallagher because I know I'm going to at least get him for free even if I don't pull. So we'll talk about that. So here are the banners, right? So what we're going to be getting on, approximately March 26th, March 27th in that range is we are going to get an Acheron banner and we are going to get a new light cone for Acheron, right? Featured here, we are going to have Gallagher and we're going to have Pela and we're going to have Don Hung. Now, I think Acheron's banner is actually incredibly good because I already talked about Gallagher. I think Gallagher is actually going to be really nice. You really can't go wrong with Abundance. Like, Abundance and Harmony are like characters you usually can't go wrong with getting because they're two like things that you typically want or need on a team. But Pela is going to be, I already talked about Pela as being a very good running mate to Acheron, because Pela is a defense shredding nihility character with debuffs, which debuffs are key for making Acheron work. And the other thing is Gallagher, I didn't even talk about this. Gallagher also works great with Acheron because some of his healing operates as a debuff. So the way Gallagher works that's kind of interesting is he does have a straight up heal button, which is good, but he also inflicts like a stacking debuff on the enemies that allows him to get follow-up attacks, but also anytime you attack an enemy with the debuff on, your characters heal. So it's kind of like giving you an interesting healing over time effect, where when you attack the enemies, you heal. If you're a Genshin player, this sounds very similar to Chi-Chi, right? Chi-Chi inflicts a debuff, and as you attack, you heal, which is kind of interesting. So I think Gallagher is also like very nice if you're going to be running Acheron setups, and it's convenient that he's on the banner. So I actually think they're quite generous to do that, because they very easily could have just thrown Gallagher over on Adventurine's banner and made you pull on both, but they didn't. So I think if you are going for Acheron, getting Gallagher is going to be really nice, right? Now, opposite of Acheron's banner, there will be a returning 5-star banner, which is going to be Luocha. Luocha is, I think, still to this day, the best healer in the game. Luocha is very good. He's almost a must if you're running blade setups. But yeah, he's really, really good. As long as you have 4-star healers, though, you don't have to have the premium 5-star healer. So, you know, summoning for Acheron and getting Gallagher, I think you're going to be just fine there. Once again, I'll talk more about it when I do a Should You Pull, which I'll probably wait like a week or so to put that video out. Then the second one, we have Adventurine. Now, Adventurine is going to be interesting because I actually think the returning character is going to be the one people want to pull out more. Side by side with Adventurine, we're actually going to get Jinglu. And I might be partial to Jinglu because Jinglu is my best DPS that I've been using. I've been using her since she initially dropped. But I think she's absolutely insane, crazy, bonkers, bananas. So if you want, like, the traditional, like, I'm just going to do Unga Bunga DPS damage, like, Jinglu is great. So if you're looking for a DPS, I know a kind of a meme right now, as I look at Twitter and stuff, is everybody's pulling, like, all these 5-star harmonies because they've been very good, right? Like Sparkle, Ron May, like, stuff like that. Like, and I've been promoting those characters like as must pulls. So DPS, like, you might be lacking that. Jinglu is an excellent, like, straight up DPS. So, like, if you're looking for DPS in this cycle, you're either going for Acheron or you're going for Jinglu. And I think, once again, Jinglu is the more traditional. Like, you can pretty much put her on any team comp, support her, let her do big damage. Whereas I think there's a little bit more finesse to Acheron because you want to focus more on debuffing. So I think depending on your playstyle, pick one of those two if you're needing a DPS, right? Now, the one thing with Adventurine and Jinglu's banner, I don't know. It's interesting because it's got like Luca and Serval, which I think these are more like debuff type. These are like DOT characters, right? So if you need more DOT stuff, sure, they're there, but they're not like must gets. But I do think Lynx is still the best 4-star healer in the game. So I think it could be a situation. It's tough because there's so many abundance characters, right? Like, you got Luocha, you've got Gallagher, and you've got Lynx here. So out of the three, you can kind of pick and choose what you want depending on the banner. But I think Lynx is a character that every account honestly should have. One, because Lynx is Quantum, which is a very strong typing is to have any healer, especially if you're running Silverwolf. But Lynx does something very valuable, which is AoE debuff cleansing, which is absolutely huge and impactful in this game right now. I think Luocha is the only healer in the game I would rank above Lynx. So Lynx, I would rank above Bailu. Any of these other, I think, is Bailu the only other 5-star healer? I think so. But like, yeah, I just rank Lynx so high because of the AoE debuff cleansing is just so incredibly valuable. So there is something to be said. Like, let's say you're someone that's going all in on Acheron and you're not going to summon on Jinglu or Venturine. You may want to sneak a few pulls to get a copy of Lynx if you don't have her. I think she's just that good, right? So those are the banners. So I know I talked a lot about that. We are going to get a new Preservation Light Cone, 4-star. So that one could be interesting. I don't think we've got the info on that yet. So we'll look at that when it actually drops. Now, there is some information on first anniversary. Now, remember, this isn't till like April 26th, right? So it's a ways away, but they're showing us information early. And this is where the Genshin players just get so angry because this game is so generous, right? We're going to get 1,600 Seller Jades, which is a multi. And then with the gold passes, they're going to give us 20 of those. So they're basically giving us 3 multis right out of the gate. We're going to get triple drop rates on Planner Fissure stuff. So this is Simulated Universe relics, the ornaments. We're getting triple drop rates there. And then we're getting triple drop rates on normal relics. So like triple relic drop rate is going to be insane. So you definitely want to be grinding out relics during this time, right? They are refreshing the first time sale packs. So if you're someone that spends money on the game, this is a good chance for those to get renewed and get those bonuses if you want to get that, right? And then we have a new anniversary event called Cosmodicy, right? So we'll talk about that here a little bit. So it's going to be a Monopoly-like game, and you can get free resources for yourself and every other player. Basically, you roll a dice, step on random fields to activate various mini-games, quizzes, and other events, and then you'll get rewards based on that. So fun. So that's kind of the intro anniversary stuff, and I guarantee they're holding a lot of information back. Like, we don't know who the actual anniversary characters are and things like that at this time, but this is some cool intro stuff that we know we're getting right away. Now, this is where I found some interesting information. They did talk about some different tidbits that will be coming up, right? So in 2.3, which is 2 patches away, they're going to optimize Simulated Universe so you can get the ornaments more quickly, right? Because I think that's the big thing is, like, when you're grinding regular relics, you just hop into quick stages and get them. But ornaments, you actually got to go through Simulated Universe, which takes time. So I think players want a faster way to get this. I know for me, the main way I get them when I'm really serious about it is I just save up crafting materials and I craft them. But it would be nice if they're quicker to get. So they're going to do something to optimize that. So I don't know if it's something where they're going to let you just like skip to maybe the elite and boss stages and maybe skip the walking around and stuff. I don't know, but they're going to do something to make it quicker. The thing I'm most excited about is we actually got information here on March 7th. This is where I'm just like getting very excited because if y'all didn't know, March is my favorite character in Star Rail. So what they're going to do is says March 7th will introduce a new feature to the game where, similar to the Trailblazer, she will be able to switch to another path that will be in the system that will be unique to her. Okay, and they said it is something related to like her memories or like recovering memories, because March has a lot of mystery behind her, right? So there's a couple of things to digest from this. They say it's similar to Trailblazer, but it also says that the system is unique to her. So what Trailblazer, and then this would be like the main character from Genshin, they actually changed elements. Now, I don't think March is going to be changing elements. I think March is going to stay ice. But when it says switching path, what I think that could be is maybe March can switch to destruction, or March could switch to nihility, right? And do some different things. I don't know. I find it very fascinating and very exciting just because I think March is getting buffs, which is awesome because, like I said, she's my favorite character. So I'm just looking forward to that. And it says it is going to happen in 2024, but we don't know when. Okay. They finally talk about Ting Yun. So I'm very interested to find out what happens with Ting Yun. I won't spoil it for people that haven't maybe gotten that far in the story. But there's a very impactful thing that happens to Ting Yun while you're playing the story. And we kind of don't know what's going on with her. So it's good that they're finally going to continue that part of the story, because I think we're all wondering what's going on with Ting Yun. So I think that's great. Okay. And then they talked about that the leaks that spoil the story heavily impact the writers, as they want to make things perfect on the leaks, but don't tell the whole story. So they're trying to say, like, we want to tell you stuff, but we have to be careful not to leak too much stuff, right? There's going to be a new main story, which is to be expected. It's called The Devil in Velvet, and it's going to add 2 new areas. So we're going to get the Clock Studios theme park. It looks very Disney-esque, right? And then we've got the Do Light Pavilion. So good, new areas. And then these are the new relics, which come in forms of ornaments. I think these are both going to be impactful, and I think they're both interesting, right? So we've got the Signonia set on the right, and this sounds like it's pretty much built for pure fiction. So I may have to redo like Himiko and Herta with this, depending on what it actually looks like. But it is a DPS set that is made for prolonged battles against multiple enemies. So yeah, it's basically a pure fiction set. And then we have Izumo, which I'm also intrigued by, because it provides additional bonuses to the wearer when there's an ally from the same path on the team. So this might be really good for mono teams. It sounds like it doesn't even have to be for mono teams, right? It just says if there's an ally from the same path on the team. Now, if the buff scales on how many members, then I'll say yes, it's probably meant to be for mono teams. But this could be like a new one for Sela, because I'm pretty much running Sela on Mono Quantum right now. So I'm very excited to actually read these and see what they do. And by the way, this is coming in Simulated Universe World 9, so we are getting a new world to Simulated Universe. So this is why Star Rail's so good, right? Like the game is never dead. There's always just stuff to do, and they just keep adding on. It's great. Very, very good. So this is one of the new events called Vignette in a Cup. And it looks like we can get some self-modeling resin, which is good. We can get the unique item to upgrade characters. We get some Jades, some other things there, which is great. And then part of that is we are going to get to choose a 4-star character. So I can put some recommendations right now if you guys want to know. But we have Gallagher, Misha, Shui, Hanya, Gwenifin, Luca, Lynx, and Yukon. Now, obviously I just went bananas and talked about Lynx. So yeah, if you don't have Lynx, 100 million trillion percent Lynx is what you grab here. And then if you're summoning on Acheron's banner, then you don't have to touch Adventurine's banner, right? And you can just get Lynx here. So I'll just tell you all right now, if you don't have Lynx, that's what I'm going to recommend you grab. Otherwise, I mean, you've got Harmony, right? So Hanya, Yukon could be decent pickups. And then you've got Gallagher there as well. That's your chance to get him for free. Now, my gut feeling is a lot of players are probably going to summon on Acheron, so you're probably going to run into Gallagher there. So then I would say go ahead and grab Lynx, right? Any of the other characters, it's going to be more for like if you already have Lynx and Gallagher and you're doing specific setups. So like let's say you're doing Mono Quantum and you need like, you know, Shui Yi to try to fill that out, sure. But none of these are like must-get characters. I think if you're doing DOT, Luca and Gwenifin could be decent. Yeah, I think any of the other characters are fairly equal. It just depends on what you're looking for in your team building. But Lynx is like the one that just stands out like a sore thumb that I think every player needs to have Lynx in their box. I just do. AoE debuff cleansing is not to be underestimated. It's too important. If y'all have ever fought Kafka and gotten super frustrated, like Lynx is what you need for that, right? So that's my advice right there. Get Lynx. So we have this Tides of War event. We don't really know. It looks like a little 8-bit kind of setup here. We'll see what that is, but there are some nice rewards there. And then some other updates. They are doing some quality of life improvements. So they're making it so that when you're doing your dispatching, you know, when the characters are doing their exhibitions, basically, you can dispatch more quickly, which is nice. And then your relic stash is going to go up by 500. And then right here, these are 3 codes you can put in for 100 Stellar Jades each. So go ahead and just pause the video if you need to grab those. I'm hoping they're still active. I already claimed mine. But yeah, 300 Stellar Jades for you. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the 2.1 update. To me, it's maybe crazy, but I'm most excited about the March news. I'm very excited for that. Let me know what you're most excited about and if you're going to pull on any of these banners. I might actually skip it all. I'm not going to lie. I know Acheron's going to be pretty hype, but I'm pretty content with my teams right now, and I kind of just want to save up for anniversary. So let me know what you guys are going to do. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.